69 degrees in Boston right now. WBZ News Time 1:36. A Rockport native is pressing ahead in the transatlantic race despite a rocky start. Rich Wilson's single-handed boat, the Great American II, was one of more than 3 dozen others taking part in a 3,000-mile race from Plymouth, England to Boston Harbor. The race began on Monday. I just spoke to Rich by satellite phone and asked him about his location right now.
We're about 700 miles west of the southwest tip of England. Just got off the continental shelf. Got quite a bit of breeze here, but still carrying full sail.
Okay, other than the breeze, though, no particular weather problems there?
I know we've got a low coming up ahead of us later on this evening and tomorrow, and then another one later in the week. But looks like we should be able to get past the first one okay.
Now, you had a major breakdown about 2 hours out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Mistake on my part to not spot something in one of the halyards that looked a little suspect. The main halyard broke just after we rounded the first mark, about 10 or 11 miles into the race. All the rest of the boat was fine and up to spec, but we had to go back for repairs. Fortunately, we had a great group of guys that helped, essentially worked all through the night to get the halyard out of the mast and get a new one in. It was quite a job, about probably 50 man-hours of work in the next 11 hours, and I headed out the next morning at 6:45 again.
Well, Rich, I guess the question arises, why are you doing this?
It's a great race. It's a single-handed race. There's 40 other boats in it, and we're also able to. One of the reasons we do these things is to try to bring them to school kids and the families at home through Sites Alive. We've got a pretty big outreach program through newspapers and a number of Boston and New England institutional content partners like Museum of Science and Edward Welling Museum, PBS, Tufts Medical Center, all participating and writing about things that have to do with this maritime event.
And by the way, you can keep track of Rich's progress online at sitesalive.com. That's sites, S-I-T-E-S, alive.com. WBZ News Time is 1:06. Well, rough seas today for Rockport native Rich Wilson. He's piloting a trimaran solo across the Atlantic in a race to Boston. About 40 craft started the race Monday in Plymouth, England. Wilson's boat had to turn back at the beginning because of a mechanical problem, but he is now back in the race. When we spoke with Wilson yesterday by satellite phone, he was about 700 miles southwest of England. I asked him a short time ago about his location right now.
We're about probably 250 miles further to the west, so about 1,000 miles off the tip of England. Got about 2,000 miles to go to the finish line in Boston.
Now, you were talking about some rough weather yesterday. Have you hit that yet?
Yes, we got into it last night in the middle of the night and went through a couple of sail changes to reduce sail area. Tried to sort of power through it for a bit with a little bit more sail than we usually carry in those conditions, and the boat was definitely flying, but was also taking a beating. The 3 hulls of the trimaran, as they go through a seaway, each one of them is going through a different wave pattern, and so there's wrenching and torquing and crashing and banging, the likes of which is hard to imagine. There's water flying everywhere, so at some point you have to kind of calm things down, slow it down a little bit, just to give the boat a break.
Rich, talk a bit about that boat. It's a trimaran, you said. How many people sail it?
Generally we would have 2 or 3 or 4 for the long voyages that we've done. We've done 3 long Clipper Challenge voyages, 15,000 miles each. Each of those passages has been double-handed, so just 2 guys on board, and she's really set up to be able to be sailed either double-handed or single-handed, and so she's sort of straightforward might not be the right term to use, but after you sailed her 50,000 miles, you get to know where the ropes are.
Wilson says the lead boats in that race should be in Boston Harbor around next Wednesday or Thursday.
One of the world's toughest ocean races is underway, the Transat 2004. Over 35 sailors are making the trip solo from Plymouth, England to Boston Harbor. They left May 31st, and some of them should start arriving here today. 3 New England competitors are in the group, including Rockport native Rich Wilson, who's sailing Great American II. I talked to him via satellite phone this morning.
So right about 500 miles due east of Newfoundland, puts me about 250 miles off the Grand Banks as well.
How's the weather?
The last 30 hours have been pretty stormy. We have there's a huge low pressure system in the middle of the Atlantic that basically stretches from the Canadian Maritimes all the way to just about England. It's a mammoth storm, and we sailed in over the north corner of it, and we've had about 35 to 45 knots of wind for the last 30 hours, so down to the smaller sails and trying to keep a good pace going, but we got a little too much sail up yesterday, and it got close to the edge, so we backed off a little bit. Prudence is useful here.
Good idea. Okay, I understand when you took off from England, you had a little bit of a problem, so you were behind. Where are you now when it comes to your competitors?
We've got a group of 5, and I was able to start grinding them back one by one, got up into second place, but then when I backed off a little bit yesterday, the third place boat has passed me just in the last about 6 or 8 hours or so, but I'm going to try to get them back, though, that's for sure.
For you, sailing alone, sailing solo is not a new thing. You're quite experienced at it. But for the rest of us, it sounds like an amazing feat.
It's amazing because it's so interesting. There's so many different things that you have to know. You've got to be fit, that's for sure. And I've got asthma pretty badly, so I have to be able to manage that. You're going 24 hours a day. There's no timeouts when the game plan goes awry. There's no substitutes when exhaustion sets in, and there's no referees out here to keep the ocean fair.
Rich Wilson is hoping to complete the 3,000-mile crossing and arrive in Boston Harbor in about